break, we're going to skip the break. Because we're so far behind on schedule, we want to get Sensei up here before we all take off. Because you know it's getting late, we're probably hungry. Anybody hungry?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know we're supposed to have a break and then we're supposed to have Sensei and then go to lunch. Well,
you're not handing out sandwiches?
No, I'm not handing out sandwiches, no, I'm sorry. And so what we don't want to do is we don't want to start losing you because you're really hungry. So we're going to forget the break, we're going to get Sensei in here, and we're going to get things rolling. Sensei, let me just give them a quick little rundown here. Learn how to wholesale with black belt investors. In this money-making workshop, real estate, Sensei Gillard shows us how to earn thousands of dollars without investing a single penny. He'll show us how easy it is to earn about a boatload of money per deal by finding distressed properties, flipping them for a profit. Once you know Sensei's top secrets and put them into action, you can flip deep discounted properties, real estate, without cash, credit, or risk. The founder and CEO of Black Belt Investors began his investing endeavors in 1995. And I'd just like to say thank you, Sensei, for showing up.
How many people in here are looking to get some paychecks through real estate? That's it? All of you? Well, that's what we're about. We're about building real estate cash machines and parlaying that money over to building your portfolio. And being a real estate investor, I have been in several different markets, mentoring people across the nation for the last 12 years, and also helping people build their real estate portfolios with different properties, whether it's 1 to 4 units in commercial. Today, we are here to teach you a lot of great tips and tactics on how you can get your real estate business started on Monday. So let's take a look and see what we got going on. The reality of today's market is some are making an absolute killing. Anybody seeing any real estate investor out there making some great money like IPX, right? Like Black Belt Investors. Maybe you got a personal friend that's doing extremely well in real estate. And you know what? It's not just real estate related. You've got some people out there that have just found a niche in a recession and they're making a ton of money. Well, here's the key. Find the need, fulfill it, and make a bunch of money. Okay? Then we have a few trying to find their way through the crazy maze of whatever niche they're looking for. And let's pick real estate for an example. You're a real estate investor. Some of you are brand new. Some are just getting started. Some of you are experienced. And you go sign up for some big real estate boot camp that costs like $3 million, right? And then you get this big plate. It kind of reminds me of going to Las Vegas. You go to Las Vegas, you have this big plate, you go through the buffet line, you try a little bit of this, a little bit of short sale, a little bit of mobile home parks, a little bit of creative financing, a little bit of lease options. Next thing you know, you're looking at it, and it starts to melt together, and you just throw it away because you're confused, and it's just not appealing anymore. So my question to you is this. Do you need a paycheck or do you need a portfolio? Because I ask people all the time, what is it that you want and what is it that you need? Because those two things are completely opposite. We want to be wealthy, but most of us need a paycheck. Am I right? Okay. Most are living paycheck to paycheck. That's mass America right now. And you need to take a step out if you're in this position right now and stop living paycheck to paycheck. Figure out a niche in real estate that works for you. Maybe it's wholesaling, maybe it's rehabbing, maybe it's doing lease options. And get it going. You don't have to get it right, you just need to get it going. And then many are curled up in the fetal position, sucking their thumb due to fear. Yeah, you laugh, but you laugh because you know it's true, right? You laugh because you know it's true. And so those people are the ones that are complaining about gas prices. The ones that are coming here complaining about having to pay a parking fee, you know, they're the ones living paycheck to paycheck. Quit complaining about it. Get out and figure out a way to where you don't have to worry about gas prices. Several just complain, but you know what? Anything they do, anything you do, you just need to learn to get out of your comfort zone. So here's the problem. Lack of knowledge. Yes, you would like to get into rehabbing, but you just don't know how to analyze those numbers properly. Yes, you would like to start a pizza shop, but you don't know how to make pizzas. So you need to get educated. And education is key. And I can tell you right now, every single vendor here today is probably still taking courses, still getting educated, still networking, engaging. You don't think that any of these vendors in here learned something from the other vendors by coming up here and speaking today? Yes, we're listening. We're getting educated. Loss of direction. Well, that's easy to do. Everybody's got a certain niche in here, and everything sounds good, but you can't take it all on once. So you got to pick something that is going to fit your needs, something that appeals to you, that's going to generate a check the quickest. We have so many distractions in life. Being a soccer mom, getting the kids ready for school, dad's working a full-time job, now he's picking up, real estate on the side. We're getting pulled in many directions. So time management is going to be key for every entrepreneur. And basically, nobody has any true systems in place. How does a company like mine run 29 employees at a time? And how did I get there? It's by creating systems. Look at the franchises out there that are successful. Carl's Jr., In-N-Out. I'm really hungry right now, by the way. McDonald's. They all hire inexpensive employees because they figured out a system of how to get the french fries into the fryer, let them run for 7 minutes, toss them if they've been more than 8 minutes. And they revolve that, and they make a ton of money because they've got all these little systems in place and all these people running these little systems. And so I'm not saying that you have to have 29 employees. You don't. But you need to develop some systems that work for you, that will get you to a paycheck. Because here's the problem with most people. We are all busy, are we not? We're all busy, but most of you are busy just by being busy. You're not being busy by being productive. That's the difference, okay? Now in business, we wear a lot of multiple hats, don't we? We start a business, I've got on my business card, president, so I'm wearing the president hat. But I'm also wearing the secretary hat, I'm wearing the receptionist hat, and I'm wearing the database manager hat, and I'm wearing my property analysis hat. We've got a lot of hats to wear. And you're scrambling like crazy and being pulled in a lot of different directions. But when you start putting systems in place, and you make a few paychecks and you can reinvest in your business, and you can hand off a little task to somebody else and pay them, nominal fee, then why not? I mean, I've got my son. He just started working with me in the office this past week. He's 11 years old. I showed him a few different things to do on Excel, and he's now updating a bunch of phone numbers because we do a lot of marketing. And so we have a real estate club. We send out a phone blast to everybody to remind, and he's the one that did it all. And you know what I pay him? $2. No. $2 a half hour is what I really want to say. So he gets, he makes a little bit of money, and he's learning business, and now he's learning a little bit of Excel, and we get everybody involved. So something that simple as database management, you should not be entering in emails of your cash buyers. You should be paying somebody else to do that. Whether it's a virtual assistant that you pay $2.22 over in India, which I have several doing. Very inexpensive, because I think everybody here can hire someone over in India for $4.44 an hour. Can we not? Yes. Okay, here's a great quote that I love, NFL, from Vince Lombardi. The difference between a successful person and others is not lack of strength, not lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. We want, we want, we want. What are you going to do to get it, is the question. Get up, start walking, start jogging, run as hard as you can, and don't stop. So here's my promise to you. I'm going to take my 3-day wholesale training camp, and I'm going to cram it into just 1 hour. So if you're a note taker, then you want to take some of these notes. If you're looking for cash buyers and if you're looking for deals. I'm going to lay out my wholesale real estate business plan so that you can follow it. And you're basically going to understand how you can flip properties without the use of cash, credit, not having one red cent come out of your pocket, and without taking title to the property. Ultimately, you're going to learn how to make a vault full of money without the risk. Are you guys ready? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Real estate wholesaling 101. If you're unfamiliar with real estate wholesaling, this is basically what it is. It's buying or controlling property at a huge discount. Buying or controlling, but today we're going to focus on the C word, controlling. Yes, you can go pick up wholesale deals through a real estate agent, short sales, maybe an REO, go down to the auction, bid on some properties, and pick up a wholesale deal. But that all requires some cash and some credit and so on. But today I'm going to teach you how to control the properties so that you don't have to put the money into it. And so what's a wholesaler? A wholesaler is basically the person in the middle, the middleman, the principal in the transaction that controls the property's destiny. That's the key word, is control. I don't know about you, but I love control. Especially when it comes to assets. Especially when it comes to my assets. If I'm not in control of my assets, I get an arrow right in the end, assets. Okay? So let's take a look at two examples of a wholesale deal. Now you can see on the left side, it's distressed. On the right side, it's not. It's been rehabbed. We have a lady that was in Central California that it wanted to move to her near her sister in Texas. Now her husband had passed away. She's a senior. She lives in this great big beautiful home, but it needs maintenance. It's a little bit outdated. It's too big for her to take care of. So she listed it on the market, and she wants $125 for it. It's worth about $150. Is there any equity in this property? Yes, there is. $25,000 worth of equity. Is that enough equity for a rehabber to come in and fix and flip it out? No, it's not. It's not enough equity in there. So, what must we do? Negotiate and figure out how we can apply pressure points to the D word, distress. Did I not say she was distressed? She's a senior. She wants to move to Texas so that she can take the cash and buy a condo or a rental near her sister. She's got an oversized house that she can't take care of, and the maintenance is going down on this house. Distress, 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 distress. You know what that means? The L word, leverage. We've got leverage now to be able to create equity positions. So, she's got this price listed at $125,000. After repair value is $50,000. Not enough money to flip it. So, we turn around and put in an offer at 65% of the after repair value. 65% of the after repair value, and it comes out like this, $94,500. Now, she did not want $94,500. Actually, we started out a little bit lower than this. She did not want the $94,500. Why? She wants the $125,000 like everybody else would. But after we pointed out to her, you want to move down by your sister, don't you? Yes. You want to do it before it gets to the rainy season, don't you? Yes. You need cash, don't you? Yes. Are you going to put all the repairs in this house to make it really worth $125,000? No. We're hitting these pressure points while we're speaking to her. So she agrees at $94,500. So we write up the contract for $94,500. We're controlling this asset now, and we turn around and flip it out over to a rehabber that wants to become a landlord. So don't think rehabbers are just fix and flippers. A rehabber is someone's going to fix it up, and they're either going to flip it out or they're going to hold it as a rental property. And anyways, we sell it to him at 70% of the ARV. 70% of the ARV. And that's one of the great things about wholesalers. We're not capped on our commissions. In fact, you might want to write this down. We focus on about 10% of the after repair value as our fee. About 10% of the after repair value as our fee. So as you can see here, we've got a contract for $94,500. The landlord is ecstatic that he's got a property for $105,000 because what's his equity position now? $45,000, isn't it? So that means we walk away with $10,500. All I had to do was find a distressed property, a distressed seller, put it under contract at a decent price, find my buyer, which was a rehabber landlord at this point, and assign my contractual rights over to that investor. I did not put an earnest money deposit down. I did not take title to this property. I did not fix it up. I had no holding costs. So there is no money, nor is there credit into this deal. So I ask you, do I have any risk with this? No, I don't. If there's no money, no credit, there's no risk. So here's 10 reasons why I believe wholesaling rocks. Do the business in any town USA. You can blindfold me, take me somewhere in USA, drop me off, and I'll figure out the market within a couple of hours and know exactly what I should be doing in regards to wholesale tactics and start flipping properties. Yes, that may sound easy in the way I'm explaining, but I also have 17 years of experience in doing this. It doesn't take 17 years to be able to go out and do that. It takes a little bit of practice. But what I'm saying is that, hey, you know what? My wife and I are planning a vacation over in Kauai. And you know what I'm going to do before I get there? I'm going to do a little bit of research. and I'm going to find out where the wholesale market is. And really, we've got some wholesale properties, and what I mean wholesale properties, where there's equity in them that are distressed. However, I was focusing more on the distressed seller. Why? Because they need to unload. So, I figure out the wholesale market over in Kauai. We go visit Kauai. I go around doing my thing in wholesaling. You know what we did? We picked up a property over in Kauai for ourselves. Now, tax-deductible trip. It's going to be a tax-deductible trip whether I bought one or not anyways. Wasn't planning on buying one, but I was able to do it. So now we've got a great little place in Kauai. Now, the other great thing is if I ever decide to move, which I live in Southern California, if I decide to move and I go to Texas, no problem, I can take my business with me. If I decide to go to New York, no problem, I can take my business with me. If I decide to go to the UK, Canada, Mexico, no problem, I'm going to do this business over there too. Okay? The abundance of deals and cash buyers galore. Do we have a lot of deals out there, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, we do. You just got to find them. Isn't that the hard part?
Yep.
Sometimes. And then do we have a lot of cash buyers out there? Yes, we do. In fact, I'll tell you right now, it's much easier for me to find cash buyers than it is to find the deals. If we went back 2 years ago, it was complete opposite. It was much easier to find the deals than the cash buyers because everybody's white-knuckling all their cash. Now they're saying, you know what, I'm losing money. Let's spend it and invest it into something. Nonetheless, we have a combination of both. And since we're in a recession, does that not make it a wholesale market? So what a perfect time to capitalize on wholesaling. I mean, that company back there was just speaking, are basically wholesalers, right? They're picking up properties dirt cheap, turn around, fix them up, sell them over to you investors at a retail value that make number sense. They're wholesalers, okay? Now, wholesaling real estate is the quickest way to profits without the use of cash, credit, or taking title. Number 4, you get paid in 72 hours or less. That is my motto in the office. Wholesale deal, we got to get it sold in 72 hours or less. We don't wait to the end of escrow to get paid. If you're a wholesaler waiting to the end of escrow to get paid, stop it. You don't have to. So right now, we've got a property that we just listed on Thursday evening. Friday, we've got a bunch of buyers. Calling in, and Sunday we're showing that property. Our goal is to get it locked up with a cashier's check of $6,000 in our hands on Sunday, and we will. It's all about 72 hours or less in my business. Okay? There's more deals that I can put in the pipeline than a rehabber. I started out in 1995 rehabbing properties. In fact, my very first rehab was over in Fort Myers, Florida, while I was living in Whittier, California. I just got married, just bought a home, just did a bunch of stuff in 1 year, and then I decided to become an investor, and I went to Fort Myers, Florida. You know why? Because someone said it was good out there. I didn't even know why. I just went out there. And I assembled a team, and I found a deal that was $42,000 that would be worth over $80,000 if I fixed it up. And so I did the traditional thing that, like most of you do, go down to Bank of America, go get a loan, put 10% down. I have $4,200. I can do that. Had some reserves that was good. Bought the property, ran out of money. So what did I do? I rehabbed the property in my credit cards. I had three solid credit cards, which I rotated every single month, so I didn't have to make a payment on them. So my balance went from my Chase to Bank of America over there, and I never had to make a payment. Now, who rehabbed my house for me? The banks rehabbed the house for me, and I didn't have any finance charges that went along with it. Now, today you can't do that because they've kind of caught on to people like me, and anytime you transfer a balance, they're going to charge you for it. Nonetheless, I'm in Whittier, my property's over in Florida. I'm praying that these guys are doing the job they say they're doing because I'm shoveling money over in that direction. It took 9 months, just a little over 9 months to flip my very first deal. I made a little over $9,000 on that first deal, and I was scarred for life. Scarred for life in a good way. I'll tell you what, it was like reaching into a bag of potato chips. You just can't take one of those babies, can you? You keep grabbing more and more. I said, that was easy. Let's do it again. And that's what I did. I started building my real estate business of flipping properties out of state until I built up enough capital to move that money in state and start doing properties over in Long Beach and LA and places like that. Nonetheless, being a rehabber, and I don't know if you've ever rehabbed property, but it's labor intensive and it's money intensive. And I have a job, and my wife has a job, and I've got a child at the time. And if you ever rehab properties more than one, you know that these two houses are not right next door to each other. So I can do 3 at a time. I got one in this city, one in that county, and one right over there, and you're constantly running around between these 3 properties. What I found out is I've capped my potential. And I don't like capping my potential, and I don't like capping my financial potential. Yeah, I'm making great money, but it wasn't enough. Not just the money, it wasn't enough. And here's what I was figuring out. I was scratching my head thinking, where am I getting these properties? Well, I'm getting them from Golden Feather. Anybody remember Golden Feather? They were HUD, okay? HUD properties that they're selling still in California. I was picking them up at the auction. I was picking them up from distressed sellers. And every once in a while, I would get a property from someone called a wholesaler. I'm thinking, where are they getting their properties? Because there's got to be an easier way to flip properties than the way I'm doing it. And so I figured out wholesaling. So I really dove into wholesaling. With wholesaling, I learned the flip side of the coin of wholesaling, and that's creative financing or purchase options. So if you're a wholesaler in here, you know that you're looking for a certain equity position in a property so that you can flip it out and make it fair to the seller, make it fair to you, and make it fair to your end buyer, right? However, if it does not fit your requirements of equity, and there's only 10% equity, 5% equity, it's upside down 10%, you're going to end up passing on it like most wholesalers do. And that's where I step in. I can step in and still take that property and do some creative financing, package up the paperwork, and flip that paperwork over to another investor or buyer. So now I've just basically quadrupled my business, is what I've done. Okay? You get higher pay than a real estate agent. What does a real estate agent make in commission?
0.
0? 1.5, 2.5, 3%. Lucky if they get the double-ended deal and get 6%. If you're in Florida or Indianapolis or a state like that, maybe you'll double-ended deal and get 7%. Okay, but you're done. Most agents are making between 2.5 and 3%. I'm not happy with that, and neither should you. And if you're an agent, hey, you need to do something to raise that up. I don't like putting caps on the profits that I can make. So I figured out wholesalers can make more money than real estate agents. There's no licenses needed, which releases liability on my behalf. So I can do the business without a license, and a lot of people always challenge me on this. How can you be flipping properties? How can you be buying, or how can you be selling properties to homeowners without a license? I am a principal in the transaction, but I always ask that person, have you ever seen a FSBO sign in front of a yard? Yes, I have. That for sale by owner. Do they have a license? No, they don't. So can I. Okay? You don't have to take title to the property. Again, another liability factor. There's no cash coming out of your pocket. In fact, I have not put an earnest money deposit down on a property since the year 2000 on an OYO, which is an own your own condo over in Long Beach. That's the last time I put an earnest money deposit. You know why? Leverage. Going back to distress. Distress plus leverage equals cash. And when you have someone backed up against the ropes because they're going through some circumstance in their life and they're covering up, then that's when you can come in and go in for the knockout. Okay? And our knockout is to help that person that's covered up, but our knockout is really to get that property under contract. Because we're going to relieve the pressure, basically throwing in the white towel for them. We're going to get paid, and the end buyer is going to end up making some money off the deal as well. Basically, by having those 5 items there, we're doing real estate without the risk. So let's take a look at the comparison of money being made. As a realtor, 3% commission on average, capped commissions as I explained. Okay, realtors can make some great money, but I'll tell you what, most realtors are not. In fact, I'll give you a true stat. When it comes to real estate agents, do you know the percentage of real estate agents that actually own their own home? 36%. 36%. Why? Because they're salespeople. They don't really understand the investment side of it. And not only that, how many people ran out there and got their license and never did anything with it? Quite a few, right? Nonetheless, we don't want to cap our commissions. There are some risks because you have to do apply for a license. So you hold a license, and then you're holding that license inside of a brokerage, and that brokerage is also responsible to the, if you're in California, the real estate department, and also the DRE. But nothing to really fret about, to be honest. Then you've got the all-time multifaceted rehabber. Okay, he's doing all the stuff. His return on investment is through flipping properties. Now, on average, nationwide, this is on average nationwide, not targeting any specific market, but all markets, it takes about 9 months in today's market to flip a property. That means you buy it, you fix it, you list it on the market, you hope and pray that it sells. Okay? And it sells, and it takes about 9-month process to do that, kind of like my Fort Myers property, where I was coming out of a tail end of recession, because if you remember we had a recession in 90, and it was coming out tail end in 95, right? But they're looking to flip properties to make their money. Now, what they end up doing is purchasing the property. That means money, possibly some credit out of their pocket. They've got rehab expenses. They've got holding costs, which is HOAs, possibly utilities, insurance, so on. Then, trust me, your house is probably going to be possibly broken into, or some other repair is going to happen. And then they're going to have to pay commissions and all this other stuff. So money's constantly coming out of their pocket. But they're okay with that, because they're into it for the big flip. Now, typically, a rehabber will make a little bit more money than the wholesaler. But if I can get in, get out, and get paid within 72 hours versus holding on to it for 3, 6, 9 months, what would you rather have? Honestly, 72 hours or 6 months? Yeah, 72 hours. He's taking on all the risks. He's got the asset. He's got the cash coming out of his pocket. That is the risk. Credit, taking title, and the money. Now, deals are limited, just like I was capped off at 3. I was just speaking to Ricardo. He's a rehabber here. Ricardo, raise your hand. Okay, he's a great little rehabber here. He's told me, oh, Sensei, you're right. I can only do 3 at a time. Okay, that is common. But if you want more, you got to wholesale. Let me tell you something about wholesaling. I rehab properties. We do about 13 a month for ourselves. But here's the thing. All the properties that come across my plate, I keep the good ones for myself to flip, right? That make number sense and fit my criteria. And all the ones that I don't want, I wholesale to other investors that may fit their criteria. Here's the problem with rehabbers. Rehabbers have a certain criteria that they fix on. Well, I only want at least 3 bedrooms, 1 bath in between 1,1600 square foot, bedroom community, cookie cutter home, cosmetic distress. Now, if they have a house that comes along that's a 900 square foot home, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and even though it makes number sense, what do they do with that property? Pass. Let's find the one I want. Don't ever pass on properties that make number sense. So it doesn't fit Ricardo's criteria. You know what Ricardo does? He takes that property, gets it under contract, and sells it to a rehabber that does fit their criteria. By doing that, he didn't put any money into the deal, but he just created another income stream. And then he's going to focus on the deals that fit his criteria. So don't pass on properties that make number sense. You'll always be able to unload them and make some cash on the side. Okay? Then we got the almighty fat and sassy landlord. Right? That's eventually where we all want to be. We want to hold rental properties because, you know what, wholesaling and being a real estate agent and becoming a rehabber, that's all about creating cash. The landlord is more into passive income, tax deductions, and appreciation. And he's all about creating wealth. But you got to create cash before you create wealth. As most people learned in the mid-2000s, they were trying to create wealth without having income streams. When the income streams started drying up, which was their job, then their wealth was built on sand and went away. Okay? So income streams are extremely important. So we got the landlord. He's into residual income. But he's got to deal with tenants and toilets, but he doesn't care because he's making so much cash flow, and he's got a great equity position in his properties, and he's focused on appreciation. He's a happy camper. However, you do carry some risk as a landlord because you're putting cash into the deal or some credits. Then we have the wholesaler. Okay, the slide dog slides right in. His average profits, 10% of the after repair value. Average profits. Now, I've got a property right now that I just mentioned we're going to be showing tomorrow to a bunch of investors. We've got it for $100,000 flat. It's worth $155,000. But we're only wholesaling, we're just tacking on a 6% on there. So we're making 6% of the actual contract price. Why? Okay, so I'm not always going to make 10% of the after repair value, but I got to make it attractive. thinking like a rehabber so that they will buy it from me within 72 hours. The issue that I see with most wholesalers today is that they're padding their fees so big that no one's interested in it anymore. Okay? So you take what you can get. But I'll tell you what, as a wholesaler, and I was just speaking to a gentleman in the back outside, as a wholesaler, I just had an investor come to me in April, and in May, he signed over a deed to me, gave it to me for free. He bought an investment property over in Alabama, and it didn't go so well for him. And he didn't know how to put a team together. And it was just easier for him to liquidate it, and he just gave it to me. He spent $35,000 on a property, and now I just got a $35,000 property because I relieved the pressure, the distress from his side. And that was this house in Alabama while he lived over here, hanging over his head, that owes some back taxes, which was like $800, and I took it off his hands. Good deal?
Yeah.
Very good deal, right? So right now we're cleaning it up. In fact, we got our painters in there this weekend putting that thing back together, and we're going to try to market it for $34,900. It's worth probably like $50,000, $51,000, but we want to get in and we want to get out. Okay? So I'll make a little, I'll make basically $30,000 off of it. We can put more deals into the pipeline. Rehabbers, maybe 3 if you're doing everything on your own. But as a wholesaler, since I don't have to do all that extra work and I don't have to figure out all the financing, and I don't have to basically be a general contractor, I can put a lot more deals in the pipeline. And if a property falls out, did I get hurt any? No, because I don't have anything into the deal. So there's no cash, and there's no credit needed, and basically we are doing real estate without the risk. It's all about pure profits. Now, a little bit about myself. I started as a rehabber, like I mentioned. In my first 5 years of real estate, it was about fixing and flipping properties. Every once in a while, I'd pick up a rental along the way. But it was all about income streams at that point. Then I diversified and really learned the wholesaling tactics. So I can expand my business as a rehabber, really pick from the cream of the crop. And not only that, if you're buying from somebody as a rehabber, there's going to be a markup in fee, right? Being a wholesaler, you're at ground level. Everything starts at wholesale level. And then you start stacking things on top of that. Because we're all about getting everything for dirt cheap prices. Are we not?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. In fact, in my business, I like to refer to us as Costco. We're all about bulk at cheap prices and moving products off the shelf like crazy. I'm not Nordstrom's. Okay? So we started business in 1995. Capped my potential, became a wholesaler, expanded the business, making a lot more money. Creative financing is something that really opened up a whole new world to me because as a wholesaler and rehabber, if it didn't have enough equity, I'd pass on it. Now I basically don't pass on a whole lot, even if the property's upside down, and I still don't put money in it. Meaning that, how many times have you gone to a real estate boot camp and they told you, hey, you know what, go through the Sunday paper, mark it up with a bunch of highlighters, find some good deals, and then if you find somebody that's in NOD, notice of default, they owe some back payments, go ahead and make up their back payments and clean up their credit and do all this good. Who's heard of that before? That's what I gotta say. That's all I gotta say about that. Baloney. You can do all that stuff without making up any back payments. You put that whole package together like they mentioned, but then we turn around and sell it to someone that just came out of some big guru's system, right? Because they tell you to look up, for these deals where? Where do they tell you to look? With a highlighter. The newspaper, right? Which day is the best day to do that? Sunday. They always tell you Sunday. Well, okay, when I get a good deal, you know where I put it? Sunday's paper. Because when some big guru just came into town, I know about it, that's when I place my ads. Because he was just told to go look at the Sunday paper. And now they're looking at my ads, and now they're calling in, and I'm unloading things faster. Okay? Started educating others. I basically started educating others back in 1999. Started getting a following. There's a sensei guy starting to flip houses, and he's doing this and doing that, making some money. Then I started teaching others. In 2002, I had started my first real estate club in the city of Downey. I started another one over in Corona, and then we also do one over in Scottsdale, Arizona on a monthly basis. Now, I am the founder of Black Belt Investors, Remote Rehabs, the Property Outpost, Jabbermouth Marketing, all related to real estate. And that's just a few of the businesses that I own, but those are particularly to real estate. And helping others is the #1 thing that we do. helping others build cash and wealth through buying, selling, and investing in real estate. Even though I've done so much in the last short 17 years, my ultimate prize is this right here, my kids and my wife. We just celebrated 17 years of marriage this past June, and then I've got my 3 kids, and we were out in Utah hiking up in the Bryce Canyon area, having a lot of fun just recently. Anyways, let's take a look at a case story so that you can see what I'm putting together. I trained a student, and he travels a lot in between LA and San Francisco. He's in the construction field. But since he travels back and forth, he decided to pick a TZ, which stands for Target Zone. That's the area of operation. His TZ was basically up in the central part of California. He was doing a lot of marketing in that area, and he would check on the marketing and his TZ as he traveled back and forth from San Francisco and LA. Well, you know what? He picked up this beautiful little duplex right here. You would drive right by it and think nothing of it. It looks occupied, but it's not. It's vacant. It's very clean on the outside. It's not in a distressed neighborhood. It's not a distressed property. What makes it distressed is the seller. So he sent out lots of postcards and letters to non-owner occupieds in the area. And he got a lot of response back. However, this gentleman here owns a fairly large portfolio. And since he's retiring from the real estate business, he's slowly liquidating these properties. He had one tenant vacate. He had the second one vacate. He was going to clean it up, but then he ran across this postcard and said, well, let me see what they have to offer. Well, since he's a retired landlord, wants to get rid of his duplex that's vacant. Prior to that, it was making $14.75 in gross rents. That's, of course, a combination of both sides. The ARV on this property is $136,000 is what Rick estimated it to be. Pretty darn good deal for a great little duplex in a good little neighborhood. There's $11,000 in repairs, and that includes both sides, and trust me, it's all cosmetic. Paint, carpet, anything shiny inside that place, okay? Cash offer that he threw out was $99,300, and that's what was accepted, okay? Now, he turned around and marketed this over to other landlords in the neighborhood that were looking for another great deal. Right? He had one marketing campaign trying to extract a distressed seller. He had another marketing campaign extracting cash buyers. And so someone in the same neighborhood turned around and bought this property for $107,800. Is that a good deal for that landlord? Why is it a good deal? Tell me.
Equity.
Because of the value equity? What else makes it a great deal? The cash flow. Anybody familiar with the 1% rule? Who's not familiar? I'll tell you what it is, okay? 1% rule is this. Basically, if I pick up a property for $136,000 on the retail side, then I can expect $1,360 a month in rents. That's the 1% rule. If I can meet that 1% rule, I've got myself a good deal. However, take a look at this. Is he exceeding the 1% rule? So he's got a really good deal on his hands, doesn't he? Would this be attractive on the 1% rule and the equity position to a landlord? Yes, it would. You think that's a hard sell? No, it's not. And so he sold it, make it a little bit, make it $8,500 is what he did. Now, is that worth his time while he's driving to work from San Francisco to LA?
Yep.
Absolutely. What money did he have to put into this deal? Absolutely nothing. Just had to figure out the components, marry the two, get it done. And here's what he had to say. Thanks, Sensei, for guiding me through this deal. If it weren't for your coaching the easy steps of find it, bind it, and assign it that I learned through the wholesale training camp, I wouldn't have been able to take the baby steps needed to complete this deal. I appreciate everything you have done. Rick Huffman out of Los Angeles. Now, here is my business model. Listen to me. Many of you probably have put together a business plan, a business model. But I was told by a friend of mine that met with a billionaire and taught me that if I could not write my business model on a cocktail napkin, I don't have a business. Because when he challenged me to do that, I always think, okay, here's what I do, and here's my little office here, and here's my receptionist, and here's this department, and I had to unfold this napkin, not enough room. And he's right. If I could not figure it out on a cocktail napkin without unfolding it, I don't know my business. business model, and I figured it out. So, simplicity is key. Find it, bind it, and assign it. So here we go. The business model of find it basically means this. We need to find our target zone, the area of operation where we're going to find our abandoned, boarded up, ugly, stinking, rotten houses. Then we're going to build up our inventory. That means you're going to have to do some legwork. You'll have to farm the area. You'll have to create an inventory list of those boarded up properties. Then we're going to track down those absentee owners. Who owns them? And I know a lot of you realtors are going to say the banks. And I'm going to tell you absolutely, keep thinking that, because as wholesalers know that we're going to come across some buyers, or I'm sorry, some sellers that owns these properties free and clear, if not a very low balance on them. Trust me, not all these properties are owned by the banks, okay? In fact, I'll give you an example. Who has chores at home? Anybody have chores at home? Supposed to do this week? Raise your hand. Come on, wake up, raise your hand. Okay, does anybody have chores at home that's supposed to do last month?
Oh, yeah.
How many has chores from last year that still have not tackled? I still have like 3 boxes in my garage from when I moved my house 10 years ago that I have not unpacked yet. There's chores. Why do you not do them? Because it requires work that you don't like. And so we have these owners of properties. It's much easier for them to put boards up on the windows and forget about it because it's going to require some money, and they have better things to do than to deal with this property over in this neighborhood. Make sense? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we've got these distressed sellers. We're going to track them down. We're also going to build up our buyers list. In fact, our cash buyers list. Just like Rick did. He marketed to all the non-owner occupieds in the area that are purchasing properties. Great way. He extracts them out. We find our competition. Who's our competition? Other wholesalers. Now, most people think competition is a bad thing. Competition is a great thing. In fact, how many big corporations out there that are no longer competing with each other but actually reaching into their own pockets and pulling money and joining forces? A lot, because we're in this funny thing that everybody keeps telling us that we're out of this recession, but we're not. And so they're pulling money out of each other to be a dominant force, right? So your other wholesalers in the area are going to be an ally, not so much a competition. So let's say, what's your name? Diana. So let's say she's a wholesaler in the same area, the same target zone that I'm in. I've got a property. Diana doesn't. But she's got a buyer and I don't. Hey, you want to marry the two and we'll split the commissions? Sure. Absolutely. The more we can move like Costco, the better for us. Okay, so I'm going to tap into the other wholesalers in the area. And then we're going to find and recruit our power team, which is huge. Really huge. Because those are the people that are going to do all the works behind the scenes so that you don't have to. You focus on what you do best, and that's finding deals and putting them together. Let them do everything else. And then we must get our guerrilla marketing tactics going. It's not gorilla like you find at the zoo. It's guerrilla marketing, which basically means cost-effective strategic marketing. Things that are not going to cost us a lot of money in our pocket, but gives us great return on our investment. A great volume of discounted properties or cash buyers. Then, once we do all those things and put it together, because we can't move it to the bind it side until we do all those items and put it together, and our marketing is going, our phone is going to ring off the hook and we're going to answer it. And so we move over to the bind it side. And basically it means that if a seller calls us, we're going to collect some information. We're going to collect information so that we can take a look at the property and we're going to run our comps. So we research the property online, which should take about 15-20 minutes max. And then we're going to formulate our offers, and yes, that's plural. Because I like to know my range to where I need to draw the line in the sand, because many times, some people that are new to negotiating will get a little emotional over the phone, and being an auction guy like myself, I see so many people overbidding at the auction because they got emotion. Okay? So we need that range so we can frame our negotiations. Now, once that seller says, yes, I'll sell it, that's when you go take a look at the property. I don't go around driving Miss Daisy looking at properties. Most investors will say, oh, I got a lead, I'm going to go take a look at the property. I don't have time for that, neither do you. Let's make sure that they have that D word first so that we can use the L word. Is that the right way? Yes, it is. The L word for leverage so that we can put this deal together. Now, then we go take a look at the property. It meets our criteria. We meet up with the seller. We put it together on a one-page contract, so that way it's easy to explain and they can easily receive it. That's important, especially working with people in distress. They don't want to look at, who's a realtor agent in here? How many pages to the card form?
15 or more.
15 or more. Okay, that's a little tough to sit there and explain. And I'm a guy that likes to go line by line. So that's kind of explain. In fact, I can tell you right now, most realtors don't even know what the card form says. It's a bunch of jargon just to protect the realty office and the DRE and the California State of Real Estate, or realtors. Okay? So anyways, we do a one-page escrow. That binds the deal. Once we have them sign that, we lock it up in escrow. That's the second binding of the deal. Once we lock it up in escrow, we quickly move it over to the assignment side. And that, again, is guerrilla marketing. Now, completely different tactics from extracting sellers and finding cash buyers. We're now using guerrilla marketing tactics to pull in some buyer for the property that we just got under contract so we can unload it in 72 hours. Now, I get my guerrilla marketing tactics out there. You got yourself a really good deal. You think you're going to have a hard time finding a buyer? No, not at all. So your phone's going to ring off the hook, right? And so someone calls and they're going to ask me a few questions about the deal. And I'm going to tell them to go drive by, take a look at that property, get back to me, let me know if it's a deal. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Then they turn around and want to get, they want to buy the property. I lock it up again on a one-page assignment contract. I get paid on the spot. I don't get paid at the end of escrow. I get paid on the spot. So the deal that we're doing tomorrow is $6,000. It's not a whole lot of money. That's pretty good for a Sunday, isn't it? So I get the $6,000 tomorrow. You know what that does? That's 6,000 reasons why they're going to show up and close the end of escrow. Otherwise, they lose it. It's not refundable. Okay? And then we hold hands with the buyer and the seller, and we walk them through escrow, making sure that both parties are happy and we get the deal done. So we follow through. Now, wholesaling techniques can be applied to land, it can be applied to commercial, it can be applied to multi-units, and it can be applied to single-family residences. And you know where I want you to focus? Right here, single-family residences. Houses, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. That is your primary focus. Why? Because they're the most abundant. They're the most affordable. They're the easiest to acquire a loan. They're the easiest to pay cash. So grab the low-hanging fruit. Most wholesalers will start here and then they'll jump over to commercial land, which you can do. However, I'm kind of like that little sucker fish at the bottom of the aquarium. I'm still grabbing all the little junk properties because I can move a lot more volume than those guys that are focusing on commercial. What do you think we have? Do you think we have more people that can afford a house or more people that can afford a 10-unit apartment building? House. Easier. Focus on things like that, okay? So, you can take the easier path of resistance and focus on distressed properties and distressed sellers. So, a distressed property can be cosmetic. We know what that is. Paint, carpet, anything shiny inside the house, right? It can be abandoned. Seller takes off and leaves it. That happens quite a bit. Vandalized, boarded up, just plain ugly. That's a distressed house. Typically, they're distressed because the owner of the property does not have the money, nor do they want to spend the time of fixing it up and putting it up in a slow market. So, here's a distressed property. You can see boards on the windows here, graffiti. We know it's California because we got the palm trees in the background, right? Here's one over in the city of Long Beach. Okay, cute little house, nice little house. There's not a whole lot wrong with it, except where someone broke out all the windows, so it's boarded on the inside. The house inside is distressed. In fact, someone got really desperate and stole all the iron off of the fence there. Here's one that has a distressed roof. In fact, it's not just a distressed roof. You can see paint's distressed. It has no landscaping. The whole property itself is distressed. But you know what's funny about this house? Be careful. It has an alarm system on it. That's kind of like putting a high-tech alarm system on a Suzuki Samurai. Okay? Here's one that's distressed, a wood-sided house. Here's one out in the high desert on the way to Vegas. out in Barstow where someone ripped off the swamp cooler up there, and there's no door, and just boarded up windows. So you see these all the time, and these are not bank-owned properties. Here's one that's out in the Midwest that has been burnt down. In fact, I don't care if it's been burnt down. I don't care if there's one stud left. Do you know why? Price cures all. Price cures all. If it was all burnt down, if this is worth $200,000, it's burnt down, and there's only a value of 50 grand, true value of 50 grand, I'm getting it for 20. Okay? It doesn't matter. And I'm not going to fix it up. Someone that loves to pick up a hammer and swing it, they're going to fix it. That's not me. I don't have a callus on my hand, nor will I ever have a callus on my hand. Okay? It can be really pretty.
Oh, geez.
My daughter loves this house. She asks me all the time, she goes like this, Daddy, can we move in that house? Daddy, can we move in that house? It can be redneck.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, is that a beauty? Come on, that's a beauty. It can be sick. It can be designer. That's Mexicali, house over by Mexicali. So we've got all these distressed properties, right? It doesn't matter what they are, they're distressed. Now we understand what a distressed property is. What's a distressed seller? Well, it's a distant owner. We get so many distant owners. I'll tell you what, back in the day, we had so many people moving out of Orange County up to Oregon to retire, and so they were too cheap to get a landlord, and so they decided they're going to rent out their property, and they're going to live in Oregon. Bad idea, right? Because tenants figured out, oh, we're in a recession. My landlord lives in Oregon. I miss a payment. I don't think they're going to drive down here anytime quick. And so people like that would turn around and call us and say, hey, you know what, this is just a headache. What can we do to get rid of it? Okay? And we turn around and pick it up, put it under contract, sell the contract over to another investor. So we got distant owners. We got people delinquent. Anybody delinquent on their properties today? We got a whole lot of people delinquent on their properties. And that's not going to slow down, by the way. We've got people that are desperate. We just had a lady, I think it was tail end of March, maybe beginning of April. Her husband, terminally ill, didn't have insurance. They need to liquidate, and they own some investment properties, and they need to liquidate now. Okay? So, you got sometimes somebody that's desperate. Divorce, that doesn't happen in California, so I'm not going to talk about that. Death, okay, that happens quite often. Let me tell you, there's just so many circumstances that creates a distressed seller. Nonetheless, our job as a wholesaler, as an investor, is to use the L word of leverage to structure a great deal. America has a great big fat black eye on it right now. And our job, like another boxer would, let me ask you, anybody into boxing? Anybody into UFC? No? Nobody in here? What's wrong with Santa Barbara? Just one? Okay, so if you got a boxer that's got a cut on his eye, what's the other boxer going to do? Go for the cut on the eye, right? America's got a cut on the eye. So, as an investor, we got to go for that cut. Now's the time. So, here's 3 mistakes that investors make when looking for deals. Write this down so you don't make the same mistakes. Number 1, classified ads. Do not look into classified ads. Everybody's going through Craigslist. Everybody's going through New York Times or LA Times. Classified ads is mass media. It has its place, but not really for us, because you're not going to find deals in there. You may get one every once in a while, but honestly, it's kind of a waste of time. And let me ask you, if it hits mainstream media, who knows about it?
Everybody.
Everybody knows about it. So now you got everybody competing for the same deal. Real estate agents in the MLS. Now, you must have agents on your team. Very important. In fact, I just mentioned a deal that we're doing tomorrow, right? That came from an agent of mine. You need them on your team. In fact, I will tell you as a wholesaler, only about 10% of my deals actually come from an agent. Everything else is self-generated. But let me tell you, if there's truly a deal out there and an agent listed on the MLS, who knows about it?
Everybody.
Everybody knows about it. Not only that, agents just have a hard time. They just don't understand the investor's mindset. They are trained for first-time buyers, maybe second-time buyers. They are trained to sell a house to a buyer once every 7 years. But as investors, we're looking to do 7 houses in a year, right? Complete opposite. So everybody knows about it once it hits the MLS. Then we have that super duper lead generating software. It costs you $19.97 to enroll in, and then you got to pay $97 a month. So that way you can have access, it's sort of an MLS, pull property profiles or tax records, get Google Earth, which everything you can get for free anyways, and then you get a little tickler every once in a while saying, hey, we've got a possible deal in your neighborhood. But man, if I signed up for that program and you guys signed up for that program, am I the only one getting that little tickler, that lead generator? Everybody's getting it. So again, everybody knows about it, don't they? Okay, let me ask you, how many of you heard of those methods before? Everybody has, right? Well, when I look at these three techniques, all I see is frustration, 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 and absolutely no deals. So, let me give you three effective methods to find some deals. You guys ready?
Yes.
Just two people? Then everybody go home. We'll just do nine. Okay? Trustee sales, sheriff sales, auctions. I'm not telling you to go down there and buy them. I'm telling you to go down there because who's there?
Investors.
Cash buyers. Now, here's what we do all the time. I run a bidding service. So I'm familiar with the auctions. But even before I had that, I was still at the auctions. And here's what I would do. What's your name, sir?
Chuck.
Chuck. So I got Chuck. Chuck is over there, and I'm watching Chuck, and you guys are all bidding at the auction. I'm over here watching and analyzing you guys, seeing who's the players and who's not the players. Chuck's a player. And Chuck buys a property. Right? And I come up to Chuck and say, man, it looks like you got yourself a great deal. He's all happy about it, feeding him some warm and fuzzies, right? What are you going to do with that house, by the way, Chuck? What are you going to do with that house?
Rehab it.
Rehab it. So he's going to turn around and fix and flip it. Fantastic. How many do you typically do? Do you do one at a time, three at a time?
3 months.
3 a month. Fantastic. Do you ever happen to come across, when you have these 3 houses, do you ever come across a house that's maybe a better deal than one of the 3 that you have? No? Then you're not a rehabber. Because the answer is yes. Rehabbers are notorious for biting off more than they can chew. They really are, because they run out of money all the time. Why? Because they find another house over here that's better than one of the 3 they have, and so they want to rush off and buy it. So that means they're going to have to liquidate one, and they may not have rehabbed it yet. So let's play along, Chuck, and say yes. Okay? And Chuck says yes. I do pick one up every once in a while. Does that mean you have to get rid of one of those? I'll answer for you, Chuck. Yes, I have to get rid of one of these properties. If I can help you unload a property like that and actually have you pay less of a commission to a realtor, would you allow me to do that for you?
Sure.
Yeah, that's going to happen all day. Congratulations. So I shake his hand, get his contact information, we swap, and I go on to the next guy. And I go on to the next guy. Instant inventory, instant inventory, instant inventory, instant inventory. Understand? Easy. All it takes is a little bit of strategic target marketing of where to go and get off of Craigslist. Referral program. Who's heard of bird dogging? I'm not talking about that. Throw that away. Bird dogs are great. You know, highest paid I paid my bird dog last year was $6,000 off a $60,000 assignment that I did last year. But bird dogs are great because they're basically referrals sources. They're word of mouth type of thing. It's very rare that you come across a full-time bird dog that stays in business, I should say. So what I mean by referral programs is this. Think. We're attacking distressed sellers, right? We're attacking distressed properties. Where can I go to find these guys? Credit repair agencies. Someone goes to a credit repair agency because they just lost their job. Now they're overrunning their credit cards. They understand the value of credit. In the meantime, they're trying to save their home. Does that sound like a textbook explanation? Yes. So I hook up with credit agencies that are in my area. And if that, I explain to that credit agency, if that credit agency department comes across a client that needs to unload their property, could they pass my information over to their client? And that client contact me, because they're not, the agency cannot give me their information, but that client contacts me. and I work out a deal, and I flip that property, and I turn around and pay that credit repair agency. And they got a referral fee, so they just developed another income stream. And I'm not having to do any work in regards to marketing except for make contact with the credit repair agency. Same thing with loan modification companies. Loan modification companies, think about it. People call up because they want to stay in their home. They're typically going to be behind in their payments. They need help. But the loan mod company comes back and says, hey, I know we took $2,000 of yours, and I know that you're paying us monthly, but we can't modify your loan. Sorry. And they let the client go. Well, instead of letting that client go, hook up with a modification company and say, hey, if there's a client that you cannot help, can you lead them over to me? And I will buy their property. So they come over to me, I buy their property, or I control it, I should say, make some money, turn around and feed the modification company. Make sense? Okay. Mortgage brokers. Well, how many people need to refinance their property because they still have an interest-only loan? How many people have too high of a mortgage payment? How many people have some equity locked in their house but cannot refinance their house because they have no job? And what does that mortgage broker do? Sorry, I can't help you. Instead of saying, sorry, I can't help you, get that mortgage broker to say, you know what? I've got an investor that can help you. And he can start funneling those leads over to you. And you work on the deal, you flip the property, and you pay him a fee. Make sense? Target marketing. The number one way to get deals and multiple paychecks is totally going to blow your mind. Be prepared. Make offers. Make a lot of offers. Anybody making offers right now? Excellent. How many offers are you making per week?
Oh my gosh.
Per week, honestly.
Probably 10.
10. Okay.
I need more. A lot more.
How many are you making offers per week? 100 a week. Excellent.
That's good.
Okay.
Wow.
So here's this. Think about it. Listen to what they're saying. 10 is probably more than most of you done in this whole year. Okay? But let's take a look at it. Let's break it down, because I've heard a lot of people come up here and say it's a numbers game. Well, let's see the numbers game. 10 offers per day is minimum. 10 offers per day is minimum. Now let me tell you, I train my guys to make 10 offers per day. Honestly, it takes them 20, 25 minutes to do that. 20, 25 minutes to do that. Not only that, I pay my guys $2.22 an hour to do that. So if I can afford $2.22 for the hour, and I can get them to get out, how many offers is that? 30 offers in the hour, right? You think you're going to get a deal accepted sooner or later? Yes, you are. So I got my 10 offers per day, and I do that every single day, Monday through Friday. That means I got 50 offers a week. That's 200 a month. That is 2,400 offers in 1 year by spending 25 minutes a day. Makes sense? Now, how many know if you made 2,400 offers in a year, you would probably score plenty of great deals? Yes or no? In fact, if we did the bare minimum, just took 1% of those 2,400 offers, that's 24 deals in the year. Anybody would like to get paid on 24 deals out of the year? In fact, if we took the low assignment fee of just $8,000 and multiplied that by 24, you would gross $192,000 in profits. Did you know that? You need to make offers. It's only 2 deals a month. Does anybody in here know anybody doing more than 2 deals a month? Even if we removed the one, would you be happy with an extra $92,000 for the year? Yes. I'm not going to go that low because I'm not happy with $2,000. But $92,000, even if you did half the work, is well worth it. So let's take a look at 3 methods to find cash buyers. Number 3, direct mail. I know we've all heard about it. We've all learned about it. It works. That's why I'm still putting it up here. It works. It's cost effective. It's direct. It works. However, it depends on how you put your copy on your postcards, your sales copy. It depends on which lists you're sending them out to, because most people are only sending it to one list, and that's the address of the vacant property. And let me tell you, there's multiple lists out there that you can do that most investors are not doing that would just increase your income like crazy. One of them would be like Rick that I showed you in that example where he bought in Central California. Non-owner occupied. What does that mean? Landlord. Go down to the trust deed and sheriff sales. No, different this time. Different this time. Remember when I met Chuck and he was buying properties and I asked if I can help him liquidate a property? And he said yes, that's to collect properties. But now I'm also at the auction for this. What's your name, sir?
Dean.
I'm sorry?
Dean.
Dean. So Dean is at the auction. I'm surveying everybody here, and Dean's a heavy hitter. He's out there bidding. He's losing some properties, but he gets one. I go up to Dean, congratulate him. Hey, Dean, looks like you got yourself a great deal. And he's all happy. What are you going to do with it? I'm going to rehab it, fix it, and I'm going to keep it as a landlord. Fantastic. I said, I was actually going to buy that property, but I found something that better fit my criteria. Hey, let me ask you, Dean. If I can get you a property just like the one that you bought for about 5 or 10% less than what you paid, would you be interested?
Absolutely.
Bingo. Let's exchange some information because I've got one coming in the pipeline and it should be here in about a week or two. And I'll give you a call and I'll give you exclusivity. Is that cool?
Sure.
Bam, got a card. Chuck. And I just go person, and that's what I do. And I'm building my local cash buyers list, and when I get a property, it's gone in less than 72 hours. Okay? Hard money lenders. I will tell you right now, the marketing always changes, the strategies always change, things cycle around in regards to how I get the buyers, how I get the deals. But I'll let you know right now, the last 8-9 months, the majority of deals that I've been getting is straight from the hard money lenders. Not that they have properties, they don't. But here's what happens. We've got lots of rehabbers that call hard money lenders looking for deals because they don't know how to dig the diamonds out of the rough. They're used to getting them off the MLS or off the auction where everybody's competing, where it's competitive. So they'll call a hard money lender and say, hey, do you know of anybody that has a deal that they want to unload? Well, what do you think that hard money lender is going to do? They're going to go and start tapping into their database to see if anybody has a deal. Because he cannot lend that money to that rehabber unless there's a deal on the table. Makes sense? So Greg, my hard money lender out of our office, is going to give me a call and he's going to say, hey, since I got this guy that wants to rehab a house, but he doesn't have a deal, can you supply one? And I think, okay, yes I can. Okay? So now I supply a property over to that rehabber. That rehabber's got a house that he wants to fix and flip or fix and rent. More likely fix and flip because he's becoming a hard money lender. Greg has now got a loan, and then I just sold a property, and we all win, win, win. And so hard money lenders will be more than happy to help you supply. So start tapping into them. Now, how many of you think you can find deals and get paid just using those 6 simple techniques? Anybody? How powerful of an investor would you be if I gave you 2 dozen more that we use in our office every single day? Look what David had to say. Sensei, as you know, I'm a fireman and my work schedule changes constantly. I have always wanted to rehab houses, but knew that the business is labor intensive and wouldn't work with my current schedule. It wasn't until I heard you speak at the Donald Trump Real Estate Expo that you can flip properties without going through the long process of buying, fixing, and flipping properties. Then at that moment, I knew that wholesaling was for me. There are 2 techniques that you really saves time and very effective. Number 1, using your simple method to make several offers to agents, FSBOs, and online ads without any lengthy paperwork. And 2, tapping into the fire department and code enforcement gave me instant distress properties that I can pursue. I love working smarter, not harder. Oh, I gave you 2 more ways to find distressed property, did I not? Code enforcement and fire department. Fire department has a list of all substandard homes because they're hazardous. Same thing with code enforcement. When you go to code enforcement, you want substandard, a list of substandard homes. Okay? That is public information, by the way. To get you up to date, I flipped 9 properties since I took your wholesale training 2 years ago. Those 9 properties have given me a total of $122,757 in profits. Not bad for a part-time job. Thanks for teaching me a business that allows me to work 2 careers that I love. Respectfully, David, out of Oakland. Now, we've gone through the Find It module. Let's get into the Find It module. We get a motivated seller that makes contact with us because we've got all our marketing materials out there. We've done everything that we're supposed to do in the Find It stage. They give us a call. There are 4 important items that you need to make sure that you're doing your right due diligence. That's basically, you're going to need property characteristics so that you can run your comps, right? You're going to need their phone number. You're going to need their site address. You're going to need to pull up a property profile or tax record. Okay, so get your owner's contact information, site address, property characteristics, the bedrooms, the baths, everything that we need to run comps, and the reason for selling. You always want to know, why are you selling? Gosh, sounds like a great house. Why are you selling? We're looking for distress. If there's no distress, there's no deal. So we're looking for that leverage. Okay? Then we do our property research. Take maybe about 20 minutes max to research this property, figure it all out. 20 minutes is someone that's kind of a beginner. Okay? 20 minutes max to figure this out. There's 3 steps to this process. You need to map out the property. Thank God for Google Earth now. It makes it a heck of a lot easier, right? We can just jump right online, take a look at the property right on our computer monitor. We're going to pull up a property profile, also known as a tax record, so that we can see who's the owner, the site address, the mailing address, and the property characteristics so that we can figure out our comps. We run our comparable sales. Very, very important. I'll tell you right now, don't do what all the other wholesalers do. Don't do what real estate agents do. We do not go in a mile radius. We stay in a very small niche. So I like to stay within the same subdivision so we can have model matches. If that does not happen, then I stretch that out to a half a mile. I want tight groupings. I'm a sniper approach type of person. I am not a grenade type of person where closies count. Okay? I want to take it down with the first shot. You can tell I'm a little bit combative. Okay, we want to formulate our cash offers so that we know our range in negotiations, which is really extremely important because when you're speaking to someone that is in distress, you're kind of acting like a bartender. A lot of times they're very quiet because they're embarrassed. A lot of times they're blah, 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 blah. Okay, go ahead and blah, 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 because we're going to take all that blah, 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 turn it into ammunition to use against you in negotiations. However, when we're negotiating and we're listening to all blah, 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 we want to frame our conversation. We want direction, not just for ourselves, but the person that's on the other end of the phone. Okay? So we make our offer over the phone. We always make offers over the phone. We do not go drive out and see the property. What a waste of time. Okay? Because if you guys are out there driving around looking at properties, already made the offer, and probably got a contract signed, ready to go. Okay? Now, if we go out there and take a look at the property, fits our criteria, great. Let's get that contract under. Let's get that seller under contract. So we have them fill out that 1-page agreement. We give them a copy of it. We turn around and give them. This is important. Anybody a wholesaler in here? Anybody a wholesaler in here? One person. Extremely important in California. You got to know all your legal disclosures before pre-foreclosures. If you don't, you're going to get an arrow right in the assets, okay? So we don't want that to happen. You got to make sure that you got all your pre-foreclosure papers in order, which is very simple. I think the government hired like a 7-year-old to put this together, but it's very simple to fill out, but very necessary when someone's in pre-foreclosure. Then you open up escrow and title, so we got 2 bindings here, one under contract and one in your escrow company. That locks up the deal. Then we can simply move over to the 3rd module, and that's assign it. So we design ads. That should be plural. Ads. Marketing is key. In fact, I was at a club meeting that I was conducting last Thursday, and I asked the group, what business am I in? What business am I in, Black Belt Investors? What business am I in? Marketing. Exactly. I'm in the marketing business. Real estate is just a product that I'm servicing to investors or home buyers. Okay? So we design ads. And I'll give you one that's really basic, but still extremely effective. Okay? We're going to design paper, flyer, emails, websites, fax ads, you name it, it's going out. Any angle of attack is the way I'm going to come at you. My son and I like watching this show, and I always forget the title of it, but it's something like something Warriors, something World Warriors, or they match up 2 warriors like Genghis Khan against, you know, Sun Tzu. Anybody familiar with Genghis Khan? Right? Anybody familiar with Sun Tzu? Sun Tzu, one of the most famous, the godfather, basically a strategic military operations. Undersized, underpowered, but came at angle attacks. They weren't stupid like in the Civil War, where they line up and they march until someone gets stabbed. You know, they come in at angles of attack. Learn deception. Learn how to over leverage someone that's bigger and better than them. And that's how we come with our marketing strategies. I want you, once you get a property, immediately I want you to go to Postlets. Put it on postlets.com. Why? Because it's easy and it's free. You put in the address, it self-populates everything else for you. You plug in anywhere from 1 to 10 photos, you get a special little web address, and it automatically sends it out to all your social media sites like Craigslist and, you know, Voodoo and all those other things that they have, okay? So you don't have to do all that little extra work. And a simple ad could look like this. You want a catchy headliner. Investor Special. Handyman Special and Investor Special have been the top headline for the last 12 years. It still works today. 35% below value. That is a catchy sub-headliner. If you saw an ad that said 35% below value, would it catch your attention? More than likely, the answer is yes. 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-car garage, only $127 or best offer. What does OBO mean? No, it means call me. Call me, let's talk. That's what it means, okay? Better hurry up, little call to action with your phone number. That's it. Keep it simple. Now, target marketing is this. We went to our auction buyers, like I spoke to about, right? In regards to, remember Dean, I told you I'd give you a call back. I had a property in the pipeline. Yep. Here it is. Okay, got a buyer. Sold, possibly. Home Depot. We're not going to Home Depot. I've been using this technique since 1998. We're not going to Home Depot to buy supplies or figure out what it's going to cost to put it together. But what I do is I take a half-page, I take a page and I put 2 advertisements and make it a half-page flyer. And I send my guys out and they load up all the windshields of the people in Home Depot, letting them know that there's a deal right around the corner from here that they can take opportunity of. Now, here's what's going to happen. Who goes to Home Depot, for one? Home buyers, right? My wife, and then, because she's in the garden section, and then it's contractors. You think all those contractors are real estate investors? No, they're not. Who are they working for, though? Real estate investors and homeowners. If someone's improving their house, they got money, right? Got some money laying around. And then they're also working for real estate investors. But these contractors, what are they going to do? You think they're going to take that flyer and hand it over to their boss? No. They're going to drive around the corner, and we're going to be waiting for them at the house. You know what's going to happen? They're going to go knock on that door, and they're going to want a job. Oh, so glad you stopped by. Yeah, hey, you need any work? I'll be honest with you. We're selling this property as is, and we got a couple buyers lined up, some new investors that are rehabbers, but I can tell you what, they're definitely going to need a contractor. Do you have a business card? Yes, I do. Is it okay, Mr. Contractor, that I hand the information over to the investor? Sure. You know what I think would work better? Why don't you just give me a quick estimate of what you would do to this house? I'll tell you what I think should be done. You write it up. Now I've got a hard evidence that with some numbers that I can hand over to the new buyer. He's going to be excited about it because he's got a potential job. I'm excited about it because now I'm going to have multiple estimates that I can use in my marketing over to Dean. Hey Dean, this house, look, I got 3 estimates. It's going to cost 12 grand to fix up. Here's one for 9, here's one for 12, here's one for 10. Tell him 12. Now he's got hard evidence. You know what wholesalers do? They pull numbers right out of their hat. I was going to say assets, but right out of their hat. Tell them, I think this house is going to cost 15 grand. They've never rehabbed the house in their life, and they're just making up numbers. Rehabbers are famous for $10,000, $15,000, and $25,000 rehab expense. Okay, they don't know. But you think it'd be an easier sell if I provided you guys with 3 estimates from 3 independent contractors, listing out every item of repair and what it cost. What do you think? Yes or no? It'd make your numbers a lot easier, right? Now we're going to turn around and blast your cash buyers, all those buyers that you've collected like I showed you. You're going to try to blast them. You're going to blast them by a pre-recorded phone message. You're going to blast them by fax. You're going to blast them by email about the property that you have. Now, I'll tell you why. Again, it's about angles. Maybe Dean is really good on email, but Ricardo's not. He's great at, picking up his paper out of the fax machine. And I'm going to make sure if you're not picking up your paper in the fax machine, or he's not getting his email, they're getting an automated phone call from me to let you know that I got a property. I'm going to get you somehow. Okay? Call your competition. So I lost my wholesaler. Oh, she's over there in the back trying to warm up, right? So I got my wholesaler over there and say, hey, you know what? Guess what? I got a property. Can you take this and market it to your group? And of course she's going to market it because she wants to get paid too. So now I've not just added my database, but I've added my wholesaler's database, my competition. Your phone is going to ring off the hook is what's going to end up happening if you follow these techniques. And when it rings off the hook, that potential buyer is going to call up and they're going to ask questions. And the answers I'm going to give them is exactly what's in the ad, right? So I'll give the details, and I'm going to tell them, go drive by that property, because I'm not going to hold an open house, and I'm not going to show it to you, I'll be honest with you. Go drive by the property first, see if it fits your criteria. If it does, give me a call back, and then let's talk. And you know what they do? They go drive by the property, they take a look at it, they call me back and say, Sensei, it's exactly what Carlton Sheets said I should buy. Those 8 tracks work really good. That's a joke, by the way. And I'm going to buy that property. How much do you want? So we go through that whole process, right? We go through that whole process. They're happy, I'm happy. We negotiate it out. I get them to meet at their bank. Why do I want to meet them at their bank? 2 reasons. That's where their money is, and more likely they have a notary public there. Okay? So I'm going to meet them at their bank because I only take cash, wires, or a cashier's check. And I always get paid at the contract signing. I do not get paid at the end of escrow. Neither should you. In fact, lots of times, rehabbers that have never purchased from a wholesaler before are a little nervous because they're used to going through the traditional transaction of going through escrow and title first and all that stuff, and then getting the asset and then paying everybody, right? But we're unconventional. We're dangerous, really, amongst all the other investors that are out there. So here's the problem. I'll tell you a way to diffuse that problem. You want to know? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No? Should I just go on?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what happens. What's your name? Troy. So Troy is meeting me at his bank, and we're getting ready to do the deal. I say, Troy, you know what? I've got this property right now under a contractual agreement. I'm basically controlling the property's destiny, and it's locked up in escrow. So what you're here today is you're going to buy this property. You physically inspect it. You agree to the terms, and what I'm going to do is assign my contractual rights over to you. And Troy's like, what the hell is he talking about? Assigning contractual rights? He's thinking in his mind, you don't own the property. All these red flags are going up. Is it legal? Do you have a smartphone? Yes, he does. Great. I'll tell you what. I understand your concern. I do this all the time, but it is in escrow. In fact, why don't you jump on your web browser and check out my escrow company, ABC Escrow. So he gets on his web browser on his smartphone, ABC Escrow. I said, give him a call and ask for Carmen. He calls him up, asks for Carmen. Carmen, hey, I got this guy with a funny name named Sensei, and he's here assigning me a contract that he says he has control over this property and not really sure how it works. And Carmen says, oh yeah, he does it all the time. Troy, don't worry. He's got a property that he's got locked up with a seller. He has the rights to sell this property while it's in escrow. And so basically what he's going to do is sell you that contract for a small fee, and you're going to step into his shoes and close this transaction. He's all warm and fuzzy, his guard is down, and I collect my check. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. So I get paid. Then I turn around and submit that one-page assignment contract into escrow, which now binds Troy up twice, because I got his money, and it's non-refundable. The only time it's refundable is I cannot clear title. So we submit it into escrow. Now let me walk you through a deal that I just did last year. Here's a property in Temecula. Anybody familiar with Temecula? It's like a second Napa Valley right now. That's what they're grooming it to be. Beautiful house. It's a house that you and I would probably love to live in. Okay? It's a nice little house sitting up on top of a hill. Now here's the problem. The house is not distressed, is it? It's nice. It's a nice house. The seller's distressed. He passed away. He had it willed over to his brother and sister. Both live in California, but not in Southern California. Brother wants to keep it, make it a rental. Sister wants to sell it. So, my bird dog brings me this property. He's a full-time bird dog. He doesn't work for me full-time. He works for lots of people. He brings me this property. I just happen to act quicker. I got the information on the sellers, brother and sister. Spoke to them. Got them to sell the property. Instead of causing, distress between brother and seller, fighting, or brother and sister of wanting to hold or sell, we just got them to sell the property over to me. Now, property is worth about $425 after repair value. It's not really anything to repair in this property. In fact, the only thing that you need to repair is just a little scuff marks up on the wall, and one bedroom has a small stain in the carpet. That's it. What it does need is landscaping in the back. But that's it. It's a beautiful house. Now, I'm salivating over this house because I have a buyer already for it. We've got a gentleman that comes back and forth from China all the time picking these things up. He loves these houses because they're banking on future appreciation. So I negotiate back and forth, and I got it for $310,000 under contract, worth $425. So I throw out an ad like this: $50,000 in equity, incredible house offered below auction and REO pricing, which is absolutely true. 5-bedroom, 3-bath, a little over 3,300 square feet, built in 2008, so it's fairly new, a little fix-up. And then it has great views because the whole backyard overlooks the city, basically. Fair market value $425, your price $370. He did not even negotiate, nor will I allow him to negotiate, because it's got a great equity position in it. For a landlord or for a homeowner. More likely you're going to have a homeowner that's going to be buying this. However, this particular gentleman is a landlord. So he jumped all over it. He gets $50,000 in equity in this. It's rent ready. Sold it in 6 days. Sold it to him for $370,000. I required a $10,000 hard deposit. Now, typically, when I have a payday like that, I don't do assignments, I do double closings. Okay? Because that's all about concealment. And then the seller and the buyer don't know about each other and what I'm doing. However, I've worked with this buyer quite often. Not a problem. So he's cool with giving me my 60 grand. I asked for 10 grand up front. Hard deposit means there's no refund if he decides to back out. There's no inspection period. You just buy it as is. And then I agreed with the seller at that $310,000 price that I would pay all the closing costs. Who's really paying them? The other buyer. Okay, so that gets passed over to him. No contingencies, and I walk away with 60 grand out of that deal in 6 days. $10,000 a day. Pretty good? Pretty good? Okay. So here's the check right there for $60,000, and made out to black belt investors. Now, here's the cool thing. My bird dog gets 10% of whatever I make. So he gets 6 grand, and I know, I only made $54,000. You get a wife here too. I know. Let me tell you something. This is not a typical deal. I'll be honest. It's not a typical deal. You're looking as a wholesaler on average $8,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Anything over $20,000, I usually do a double close on. Okay. This is one of those abnormal deals. It does happen. In fact, who was I speaking to? I was speaking to someone outside. No, I was speaking to you guys, right? Someone gave me a property in April, free and clear. So those things do happen as a wholesaler, and that's because I'm out there networking with everybody. Now let me ask you this. How many people believe there's opportunity in this market? Yes or no? Yes. You do, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting in your chair right now, right? Can you now see how to control property without cash or credit versus buying them? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Now we've only spent 1 hour together. Could you imagine if we spent 24 solid hours together, just me and you? Wow. Your head would probably go, right? Let me ask you this question. Are you guys ready to increase your income? Yes or no?
Yes.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you to join me in my wholesale training camp in Buena Park, August 5th through the 3rd. That's 2 weeks away. And I've got another one in LA, Orange County, November 2nd through the 4th. Here's what we're going to do. Day 1, why, when, where, and how we wholesale. All the different angles of wholesaling and how you can capitalize on them without using cash or credit. strategies of assignments and double closings. We'll walk you through the wet double close, we'll walk you through the dry double close, and you'll also learn the different strategies of assignments. Targeting distressed properties and sellers. I gave you some really good tactics today on how to do that. And I'm going to show you things that I don't teach and things like this so that you can be a fantastic statistic to black belt investors. Find and evaluate your area of operation. You know what? This is probably one of the easier things. However, it's one of the most difficult for you guys. You know when something's really simple, we may tend to make it more difficult, Dan? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to show you how to find your wholesale market even if you're living right here in Santa Barbara. Okay? Extreme marketing tactics that are cost effective that will make your phone ring. Find and build your buyers cashless. In fact, I'll show you a way that you can find your cash buyers in your local market with at least 50 in an hour's time. 50s in an hour's time. Okay? Find the real deals. Locate the absentee and distressed owners. And then on day 2, we're going to teach you how to submit no-risk offers, 10 per day, so that we can hit that 2,400 offers in a year level so that you can get your 1% bare minimum 24 deals that will make you at least $192,000 on the bare minimum side. We cool with that? Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to profit with pre-foreclosures and see how we attack them so that you can do exactly the same thing. Property and seller research, so that way we can make warm and fuzzies for both sides so we can marry the deal. And amazing, analyzing the property values and learn how to accurately run comps. Now, how many times have you seen a wholesaler or another investor, doesn't have to be a wholesaler, send a property over to you and the comps were just way out of whack? Okay? We don't want our comps way out of whack. We're here to build credibility. In your business, you're here to build credibility so people will pay you before the end of escrow. Working the numbers and formulating the offers, the different strategies of how we're going to present our offers, and if something backfires, what is our backup plan so that we never walk away not making a penny. Okay? We'll go through a lot of case studies, how to piece the business together. Let me tell you something. One of the most important things that is left out in most trainings is how to own and operate a business. You're coming from your job. Maybe you're self-employed now and you're wearing too many hats. Maybe you're a W-2 employee that's never stepped into the entrepreneurial world and have not a clue how to piece together a business. How do I run my real estate office of 29? How do I run my marketing company of 4? How do I run my 11 martial art facilities with employees of 7? How do I put all these things together to where I'm overseeing everything, but I'm not actually in it? See what I'm talking about? Because you will be in it, and it's important to be in it. Grunt work is important so you can learn and train others so that you don't have to do anything. So we'll go through all the business operations. Then day 3, we will break down the anatomy of the wholesaler's purchase agreement line by line so that you understand it, so that you can parlay the information over to the seller or over to the buyer when you do the assignment of contract. Key clauses that's going to keep you safe and sorry. So if you don't have your contract handy, I'll give you an idea. One of my best friends is a Navy SEAL, ex-former Navy SEAL. He's also a wholesaler, by the way. And we were over in Imperial Beach. And he happened to come across a condo in Imperial Beach that was for sale by owner. Well, he gives me a call and he says, hey, you want to share this property together? He gave me all the information. I said, write it up, let's do it. And so you know what he did? He understands the key clauses. He's ran over to Office Depot, picked up a template contract, which is a piece of junk, by the way. It's not recorded, right? Office Depot, sorry, it's a piece of junk contract.
Edit.
And so he gets this contract and plugs in the 4, there's 4 things that we really need to plug in, and it's extremely important to keep us safe and not sorry, and put the deal together. Okay, so we want to make sure that you understand that. Understanding pre-foreclosure law, especially here in California, because California is one of the toughest states to deal with. However, when it comes to pre-foreclosure, just want to make sure that you're safe and not sorry. And so we'll go through what the government says or the state laws say that we must do as a wholesaler, and we'll attach that to the agreement. But I'll tell you what, it'll take you about 3 minutes of your time. That's it. Okay? 6 successful steps in contract signing, role-playing again and again and again. Now, you can all sit there and listen to me and learn. It's different from you coming up here and doing it. Let me give you an example. I can teach you how to grapple by giving you a DVD set. Hey, take this home. Put it up on your big screen. Watch this for a month. Learn some techniques. Then come to my gym and you step in with someone that's mediocre in grappling. And you grapple with that person. What do you think is going to happen? You'll be choked out within 30 seconds. What's going to happen? Or, hey, come with me and get in the ring and let's go through this hands-on and figure this out. That's why role-playing is important. So we don't let you sit on the sidelines. It's time for you to get up here and start learning how to negotiate. Let's put these contracts together. You're going to be buying and selling properties together. You're going to be filling out contracts. I'm going to evaluate. I'm going to pressure you. I'm going to make some things easy. I'm going to throw things all over the place so that you can be prepared on Monday to do the business. Case studies again. Marketing strategies for quick sales. Anatomy of the assignment contract. Again, just like Troy and I, getting together, figuring that out so that he's comfortable with handing over a check to me. Okay? Training day 3, the in-buyer negotiation strategies, more role-playing, kind of getting the idea. Kind of a hands-on type of guy. I'm not really good at reading books. I'm really good at looking at something and figuring it out, kind of like most guys where instructions, you know, we just look at the box and try to figure it out. Okay? Recruiting your power team, how to use transactional funding. Okay? Things are changing. Got to figure out how we're adapting to it. Helping your buyers with the cash, helping buyers get the cash for your deal. I know you've all been told, go get a hard money lender, go get your lenders. The only time we use them is as referral sources to our buyers so they can take a property off our hands. Okay? 10 steps to that system that I just walked you through. Find it, bind it, and assign it. Now here's the cool thing. Everybody always comes to wholesale training camp, right? And they go, hey, Sensei, what about this? I said, it's in the book. It's there. We'll get there. Hey, how about that? It's in the book. We'll get there. Everything's in the book. If it's not in the book, you'll get back to me. I'll coach you again. But the cool thing is that you'll take that book home, and I don't know about you, but I'm better off at just scratching things off the list. Step 1, do that. Step 2, do that. Step 3, do that. And then I'm also good at looking at things that flow, you know, like a flow chart. That's what's in the book. It makes it easy. So that way you don't have to call coach if you don't want to because it's already in the book. Okay, 45-day action plan. That is basically the course I'm going to set for you each and every week to make sure that you're scratching those things off your list and your wholesale business is in action. Take a look at what Hamilton had to say. I have spent thousands of dollars on obtaining information on how to wholesale properties. After attending Sensei's wholesale training camp, I can clearly see why Sensei is the best. He gives you all the information you need to succeed, whereas many of these so-called gurus and home study courses they sell are only decent content, but not enough to get going. Sensei doesn't hold anything back, and he truly inspires people to take action today. I highly recommend Sensei to anyone that desires success. Hamilton Handling. Now let me tell you something about Hamilton. Okay, Hamilton owned a business. He gave it up in like December 2007. Wanted to get in real estate investing. He comes to my Cash and Wealth conference that I held in LA. He meets another gentleman that goes to my real estate club over in Corona. They pair up. They come to my wholesale training camp the very last weekend of February 2008. We finish on February 28th on a Sunday. March 1st was a Monday. So you can go back in your calendar and see March 1st is a Monday. They started their 45-day action plan. Now, from March 1st all the way to the middle of May, they made over $155,000 in profits by assigning contracts. Is that a lot of money?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Let me ask you something. What was happening in spring of 2008? Everything was going to poop. I won't say that word, but yes, everything was falling apart. Everything came to a screeching halt. So how did these two guys make over $155,000 in assigning contracts in the worst market that we've ever lived in by assigning contracts? That's right. So, here's what you're going to get in the wholesale training camp. 3 full days of live training, just me and you. In fact, in the live training, we limit to 25. We don't have a big room. Because if we had a big room full of people, you can't ask questions. And our training's from 9 to 5, but I'll be honest with you, it never goes to 9 to 5. It always goes to like 9 to 6, 9 to 6:30, and last time we were there to 9 to 7 on a Sunday evening. Why? Because you guys have so many questions. So I'm there for you. It's great that way. I want to make sure that you're getting going on Monday. So you got 3 full days of training. You're going to get the easy step-by-step wholesale workbook. Now I'm going to give you a workbook that day, and it's fill in the blank. You know why? Because I want you to pay attention. You got to pay attention and fill in the blanks. So that way when you go home, you know what you're doing. All the contracts and disclosures, role-playing case studies, and more role-playing. Here's what you're not going to get. Fluff and stuff. We are not about upselling you to the next program. We're not bringing in guest speakers to sell you the nice, shiniest lure. We're here to build the ultimate real estate cash machine and for you to become the wholesaler that you've always wanted to be. And you're not going to get those other gurus coming in selling you. What was that word again, Troy? Yes. We're not going to have you sell that, okay? You also get, as a bonus, 4 weeks of rapid success coaching with me. That's right, me and you. You get your questions in order. We'll get together on Friday, and we'll bang out those questions and make sure that you have the answers, and we'll go on to the next week. That's a $400 value. Bonus number 2, you're going to get free access to my online exclusive social network, strictly for my wholesalers. You know what's important about that? Think about it. If all of you guys took the wholesale training camp, okay? You all took this wholesale training camp, and let's say, by some number, all of you were actually doing the business. And you had a question about a contract. You can post it online, and we have Dean over here that's very experienced that can answer that for you. And then we have Ricardo that picked up a property at the auction that he does not want to rehab, wants to sell it as is. And you, sir, have the buyer. You're now marrying deals together and you're all getting paid. And it's all a nice little vicious profit circle within this social network. Okay? To me, that's priceless. Direct access to $5 million in transactional funding. I will give you the proof of funds, and I will give you the cash if you need it on your bank-controlled properties. Typically, most companies charge $2,200 for this service and then a $97 monthly. Nope, you get it. It's all yours, okay? Bonus number 3 or 4. The next 12 months, you can re-attend a wholesale training camp absolutely free. So I encourage you to take it over and over and over again. I'll give you a good example. We just had our club meetings on Wednesday and Thursday. I had a little, I want to say a little kid. I have a young man that just turned 21 years old. He works at Best Buy. He sells cellular phones to everybody. That's what he does. He started getting into real estate last summer of July. He took a real estate basic course one-on-one in September, wholesale training camp of mine in November. Right over his head. He still lives at home with mom and dad, so he doesn't even know what paying rent means. Okay? Right over his head. However, he followed the 45-day action plan very slowly. And by the spring of 2012, he took the wholesale training camp again. Ooh, things are starting to click. A light bulb went on. 3 weeks later, he cashed his first check of $5,500 by going to the auction, finding a buyer. Someone came into Best Buy to fix their phone, and that someone was an agent, a broker that a broker that sells REO properties that are unlisted. Made a great contact and had a property that was literally a mile away from Best Buy and sold it to the guy at the auction, just like we did. Okay? Now, this week, he's getting paid another $2,000 for another property development contract. So, 21 years old, still living at home with mom and dad. In fact, I had to cash his first check because he didn't have a checking account. Now he's got a checking account. So he's motivated. So if he can do it, you guys can do it. $997 in regards to returning to the camp. Access to my cash buyers. You get a deal, send it my way, lock it up, get it in escrow, send it my way. I'll evaluate, blast it out to everybody to see if we can't sell that thing real quick, okay? That's priceless in my eyes because if I can help you get paid, doesn't that make you feel better? Think about it. Would it be much easier to do it on your own or to send it out to my list? Yeah, sending it out to my list. If you sign up today, you get an extra 2 weeks of coaching with me directly. And I will also give you a $200 BBI grant, which can be applied to other training if you decide to learn about joint ventures or creative financing, or if you want extensive coaching, or if you decide to buy a property, we'll give you a $200 grant. So here it is. Wholesale training camp is $14.97. The email success coaching is $400. Online form is priceless. The proof of funds and transactional funding, which I'm giving to you for free, is $2,200. You can re-attend the camp time after time for the next year, $997. Access to my buyer's cash list, and then additional coaching for $200. Plus, I'm going to give you a grant that you can use at future events or properties that you would like to buy. That's a $5,497 value that you would do on your own, or you can simply do it from me at today only for $997. Simple. Someone that's homegrown in California doing the deals, and not some guru over in Florida that comes here for the weekend and then takes off. A lot of accountability on this side, especially at the club meetings. But that is absolutely today's price with all those bonuses. So again, I'm going to invite you over to the wholesale training camp, August 3rd through the 5th, November 2nd through the 4th, only $997. That is good for today. And you will find out quickly with me that I draw the line in the sand, and tomorrow or Monday you will call and I'll say, sorry. It's about the window of opportunity. Yes, you can attend the camp. However, you're not going to get all those bonuses I just gave you. So, if you're an investor that has felt it down right here in the gut, that you know that you need to get it good because you want to get in, get out, and get paid, then today is the day that you make that step forward and let me hold you by the hand and drag you along, push you forward, kick you in the butt, whatever it takes to get a paycheck in your pocket. If you are that person, then you need to go see Anna Maria outside of the booth right now. Otherwise, God bless you guys and enjoy the rest of today. All right.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Excellent job. Excellent job. I got just a couple quick questions for you guys. And this doesn't have to do with just Sensei. It's all the vendors that we've got here today. If you didn't have to drive to LA, and we have 1-, 2-, and 3-day classes here, how many people would be more likely to do a training? 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 5? How many people here would say, hey, I don't care what it costs, whatever, I'm going to Los Angeles for some of these trainings? Okay, so vendors, we're just begging you to come to Santa Barbara and spend a little more time with us, okay? People really hate to drive, and you know, especially, I think it's harder for people north to go south. There's just too much traffic, whatever. So we do have ways of making this happen, and I can talk to vendors about this eventually. A couple more questions. To do any of this kind of work that everybody's talking about, do you think that you're going to need a computer? Probably pretty much, don't you think? Or a cell phone, or some kind of tablet or something. Do you think you're going to need some kind of technical support now and then? Do you think that you might need a website? Anybody in here get that kind of support for $15 an hour? Yeah, I don't see any hands.
No.
Okay, so my son, Michael. Hey, Michael.
Yay, Michael. Thank you for saving
And my daughter, Lana, who is gone now, do this type of stuff for you. Social media marketing, website design. Now, we're going to take a look at this when you guys get back from lunch. Pray that you come back. All the vendors are going to be here, so you're going to have a chance to sign up and do different things. And we'll get into this a little bit deeper, but here's a website for one of our clients that's, you know, $300 or $400 on, Michael's making it, he's building it up, okay? Now I talked to tech support at GoDaddy, and they said the average price is about $1,500 to $2,500 per website. We're talking something very professional when you come back and look at this for $300 or $400, okay? That is something we can talk about. Also, anybody in here currently getting 18% return on the money? Anybody like 100% in 3 years? Okay, so we'll talk about 20K rent-ready properties. And if you say, well, Dan, I don't have any cash to invest, would anybody like to do what I'm doing? Most people don't, and that's why they would rather give me the money and say, Dan, go do the dirty job. I don't want to do it. I just want a good high return. But if you want to do what I'm doing, that's fine, you know. There's no competition. There's thousands of deals out there. I figure I can only do about 30 or 40 of these things, and I'll have to start telling investors I don't do them anymore. The other thing is wholesaling for instance, I've got a website that's bringing in a bunch of people who just say, hey, I'm going broke, I need to get out of here. You know, I'm not even dealing with that anymore because I was doing short sales way back, and I hate them. I don't want to go back and do it. But I'm going, okay, so you need to, you know, get back with Sensei, do some wholesaling on some of those things. Those are different websites that we can set up for you. So why don't you guys go get something to eat. Do come back, because we're all going to be here. And then we're all getting free drinks at some point before the evening's up, right?
Well, if you don't, if you're not hungry and you just want to stick around, please feel free to mingle with our vendors. We're going to be here networking, so you don't have to leave and go get something to eat. You can just stay right here and network with everybody, because we'll be here.
I'll grab a sandwich and come right back,
Yes, and
whatever.
we are going to have raffles too, so.
Giving stuff away.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm giving away 5 hours, 2 raffles for 5 hours of free web support, whatever. Twice to about $75 value.
I got customers
Okay.
that
So thank you very much. Let's go eat some food.
like